Good afternoon, everyone. As we get ready to begin, kindly take your seats. Thank you. I now invite Mr. Jason Budan, Acting Facilities Coordinator of the Diego Martin Central Community Center, to give the safety briefing.
Hi, good afternoon, ladies and gents. An important minute of your time. So we have washrooms, female washrooms to my left, down the corridor, male washrooms to my right. Down the corridor, we also have washrooms downstairs. So the male washrooms will be to my left and the female to my right. That's downstairs. In case of emergency, please don't use the elevator. We have a staircase on my left and a staircase on my right. There is an elevator that those who are not too mobile to use, but in case of emergency, please use these staircases. We have a primary muster point, which will take you out to the eastern side of the building. So you go out the gate to the back of the car park, and there's a church lower down. So that will be our primary muster point. Our secondary muster point is out on the western side. There's a gate to the western side of the building, and you will walk north, and there's a roundabout. That's the secondary muster point in case of emergency. So I pray that you all will have an enjoyable program, and thanks for coming.
Thank you very much, Jason. As we begin our formal proceedings, I would like to invite Ms. Keita James, Counselor for Diamond Vale, to do the opening prayer.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to ask you to please stand. And of course, with tradition, we bow our head and close our eyes. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the gift of this day and for bringing us safely together. We ask your blessings upon this gathering and that everything we do here will be done with wisdom, respect, and purpose. Guide our conversations, inspire our thoughts, and unite us in a spirit of cooperation and goodwill. May this event be fruitful and uplifting, leaving us better equipped to serve one another and ourselves and our community. Bless each person present with us here today, their families, and the work of their hands. May peace, understanding, and harmony prevail. We ask all of this in your holy and precious name. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor James. Alderman Felicia Sugdar, Deputy Mayor of the Diego Martin Borough Corporation, Ms. Keita James, Councillor for Diamond Vale, Ms. Amber Keynes, Councillor for Glencoe, Goodwood, Laporto, Ms. Listra Lucilio, Deputy Chief Executive Officer and staff of the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, Mr. Dominic Stoddard, Financial Services Ombudsman, Ms. Philma Brown Hyacinth, President of St. George West Branch of Village Councils, and other Village Council and community group leaders within the Northwestern region. Specially invited guests, our expert presenters, members of the media, those joining us via live stream on social media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I extend a warm welcome to all of you. My name is Rachel Rampasad, Senior Communications Officer with the TTSEC, and I will be taking you through today's program for the fourth and final in our Investor Education Community Outreach Roadshow series, being hosted by us, the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, in collaboration with the Diego Martin Borough Corporation, the Office of the Financial Services Ombudsman, the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange Limited, Security Dealers Association of Trinidad and Tobago, and the Mutual Funds Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Earlier on, some of you would have visited the information booths located outside, where you would have been provided with useful information. At this time, we wish to acknowledge the following organizations for their important contributions towards our overall events: the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, the Ministry of Culture and Community Development, the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs, the National Entrepreneurship Development Company Limited, NADCO, the Youth Training and Employment Partnership Program, WITEP, the Youth Club of the Western Division, and the Office of the Financial Services Ombudsman. I now invite Deputy Mayor Alderman Felicia Sukdar of the Diego Martin Borough Corporation to deliver the welcome remarks. Deputy Mayor, let's welcome her.
Keita James, Councillor for the District of Diamond Vale, Deputy CEO of the Trinidad and Tobago Securities Exchange Commission, Ms. Listra Lucio, Heads of Department of the Diego Martin Borough Corporation, Administrative Staff of the Diego Martin Borough Corporation, Staff of the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Rachel, I understand this is the fourth. You've saved the best for last. It is both an honor and a pleasure to welcome you all to today's Investor Education Community Outreach, a meaningful initiative aimed at empowering our burgesses with the knowledge and tools needed to make informed financial decisions. On behalf of the Mayor, the Council, and the entire Borough Corporation, I extend a warm welcome to all our attendees, stakeholders, and partners gathered here today. Your presence reflects a shared commitment to building a more financially literate and economically resilient community. In today's ever-changing world, the importance of investing wisely cannot be overstated. Whether you're a young professional, a small business owner, or someone planning for retirement, understanding how to grow and protect your financial assets is key to personal and community development. Financial education, and in particular, investor education, is not just for the wealthy. It's not just for those in the financial sector. It is for everyone. We are especially grateful for the Trinidad and Tobago Securities Exchange Commission for partnering with us on this important initiative. Your support and leadership in promoting financial literacy and inclusive economic participation is commendable. Collaborations like these remind us that when institutions and local government work hand in hand, we can bring value and opportunity to our communities. Let today be the starting point. Let it spark an interest in a broader conversation and action around investment and long-term financial planning. We look forward to continued partnerships and to seeing the positive ripple effects of this outreach throughout our borough. Thank you once again for being here, and thank you to the TTSEC for helping us take this important step forward. Let us make it a productive and enlightening session for all. Also, just a gentle reminder that the Diego Martin Borough Corporation will also be having our outreach. It's the second annual outreach next Tuesday, 16th September at the Diego Martin South Community Center. So you can follow us on our social media for information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. And I did ask you to stay on stage, please. And I invite Glenys Potts, she's our General Counsel of the SEC, to make a presentation, a token of appreciation. I think we need to come front. Ladies and gentlemen, you would have received a pre-questionnaire survey from us in your registration package. We encourage you to complete the survey and we will have it collected shortly. Next on the agenda is Ms. Listra Lucilio, Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, and she will provide an overview of the SEC's Investor Education Program. Please let's welcome her.
All protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is truly a privilege to be here today in Digger Martin as we host the 4th edition of our Investor Education Community Outreach Roadshow series, themed Empowering Communities Through Financial Literacy and Investor Education. The Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, and you'll hear us calling us the TTSEC, is a regulator of the local securities industry, which generally covers all financial investment products and transactions such as stocks and bonds and mutual funds. Investor education and protection are key components of our mandate. We protect investors like you through the registering of all persons and entities engaged in providing investment services, as well as investment products, monitoring the stock exchange and the wider financial investments market, processing investor complaints, taking enforcement action for breaches of our legislation, ensuring that investors receive timely, pertinent information like company financials to make good investment decisions, and promoting investor education by empowering individuals across our country with investment knowledge and sound investing practices, because the protection against investment fraud starts with you. Think of us as the referee in a football match or the umpire at a CPL game. As we fulfill our role in protecting investors, a collaborative approach is necessary, as no single entity or individual can go the distance alone. This is why the primary players in the financial sector are represented here, and we have historically worked together in the interests of depositors and investors alike. Today, there are representatives from the Office of the Financial Services Ombudsman of the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange Limited, the Securities Dealer Association of Trinidad and Tobago, and the Mutual Fund Association of Trinidad and Tobago. We are now also partnering with local government bodies and NGOs to expand our reach in communities, ensuring that individuals have access to information that will enable them to make informed decisions about their money. Ladies and gentlemen, this community outreach presents a vital part of our broader strategic approach for public education on investing. Our investor education program provides a comprehensive and holistic approach to financial education that bridges the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical investing. Our goal is simple. It is to empower you, the members of our communities, with the knowledge and confidence to navigate the world of investing, enabling you to achieve financial security and ultimately create wealth. I will now highlight some of the free, and I'll say it again, free resources that we have developed to support your investment journey. 1, an investor education website, investucateTT.com. This is designed for investors at all stages. Whether you are just starting or looking to sharpen your strategies, this website offers structured courses on investing principles from intermediate to advanced levels, Also, articles and guides breaking down complex concepts into actionable insights, and tools and calculators to assist in determining the required expenses and possible returns that you can get from investing. Secondly, we have an interactive investment game. And don't think this is only for the younger persons, right? Go and try it out. It's very, very interactive and nice. It's called investorquest-tt.com. This simulates a real-world market investment scenario in a virtual environment. So you can build your investment abilities in a fun manner without fear of repercussions of making mistakes. Thirdly, we have an investor protection mobile app, which offers alerts about potential investment scams, tools to verify the legitimacy of an investment, a medium to lodge a complaint, and resources to deepen understanding of these market and investing. Furthermore, we conduct public and school outreach initiatives through workshops, interactive sessions and seminars, through teaching, training, and curriculum development in partnership with the Ministry of Education, as well as competitions and interactive activities such as the National Secondary Schools Investing Competition. Finally, we provide brochures and learning materials for those who prefer traditional methods, in addition to a quarterly investor education newsletter. All of this is available via our social media platforms on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, and TikTok. Many of you may still be wondering, why is investor education so important? It is simply because knowledge is power. Financial literacy and investor education equip individuals with the tools to make informed decisions about where to put their hard-earned money, recognize legitimate investment opportunities and avoid scams, and understand how to build long-term wealth through consistent and disciplined investing. At the heart of our mission is the commitment to not only support individual growth, but to build stronger, more resilient communities. Our goal is to foster a culture where individuals feel empowered to ask questions, verify investment opportunities, and exercise caution when faced with offers that seem too good to be true. In closing, this is your chance to take control of your financial future. Here's how you can get started. Visit the TTSEC's Investor Education website and gaming platform. Download the Investor Protection app. Follow us on social media for regular updates. Subscribe to our Investor Education e-newsletter and invite us into spaces, your spaces, for educational sessions. Your continued engagement is vital to building a foundation of knowledge and trust that will benefit future generations. Together, we can shape a financial environment for every individual and community. I thank you for your patience and have an enjoyable session.
Thank you very much, Listro. Now that we've completed the formalities, we move on to the presentations, which at the end of it all, we hope will get you on the road to becoming an informed and empowered investor. At today's event, there are many prizes to be won. We have 4 grocery vouchers courtesy Extra Food Supermarkets, 5 grocery vouchers, as you can see there, courtesy the True Value Limited, and 3 vouchers courtesy Massey Stores. But there's more. We also have $500 vouchers to invest, courtesy the Security Dealers Association of Trinidad and Tobago and the Mutual Funds Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, how do you get those prizes? Well, each presenter will pose questions to members of the audience after their presentations. Answer correctly, and one of these vouchers will be yours. It is now my privilege to invite our first presenter, Mr. Dominic Stoddard, Financial Services Ombudsman at the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, to present to you on money management and the role of the Office of the Financial Services Ombudsman. Please, let's welcome him.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. All established protocols observed. Today, I'd like to start from the basics. I aim to speak to you on two distinct but related topics. The first is a set of financial literacy tips, and I call them tips because it's hardly likely that you can take someone from wherever they are and make them financially literate in a 15-minute presentation. In addition to that, I'll also speak to you about navigating the increasingly complex financial system and when you encounter difficulties, where you can go to seek redress. So, putting these two things together, they're at the very base of your financial understanding. They're not rocket science, they're not difficult, they just require discipline. Some of them you're very familiar with, and it's okay. And hearing familiar things over and over tend to reinforce them and make you, they embed them in your DNA, so to speak. So as you navigate your day-to-day activities, you can always refer back to these basic things about finance. All right? So in the financial literacy tips, the first one and the most important one at the base of advising anyone on finance, and this goes for whatever your age, whatever your gender, whatever your economic circumstances, okay? The first thing is setting financial goals. Many of us, we have an idea of where we want to be. You want to own a house, you want to get married, you want to have 2 kids, a dog, you want to travel the world, you want to see Egypt, you want to go to Israel, you want to go to Mecca. All right? We want to own a boat, you want to be able to fish with friends on weekend, you want to have a swimming pool, and you want a gazebo. Whatever your goals are, always remember it's important to set financial goals. Setting financial goals help to concretize your purpose. What are you after? What are you about? What is your definition of happiness and fulfillment? When will you self-actualize? What do you see as your purpose? And how is your financial goals aligning with that? All right? The other thing is you're advised to visualize. See yourself in that place. You want to visit Egypt, you want to ride a camel, see yourself doing these things. And finally, on this point, is seeking financial freedom. Now, some people say, well, what exactly is financial freedom? My understanding of financial freedom is having the power to use your time as you choose. Many of us, or those of us who are employed, we work for wages. We are actually selling our time for money. Money which we take to buy those things that we need for self and family and the like. But financial freedom is when you get to that point where you've amassed sufficient money or capital such that your money is working for you, whether you're sick or you're well, whether you're sleeping, whether you're in country or out of country, whether you're studying, whether you're traveling, whatever, your money is working for you and generating money. That is the concept of financial freedom that we want to get to. Okay? And you get to it in two ways. Either by substantive investing, which you can use to generate that level of income, or entrepreneurship. All right? The second thing is keeping track of your expenses. Many times we have a vague idea of how much we spend on transportation. We know how much the mortgage costs. We know how much we pay in rent. We know how much we spend on food. We know how much is the kids' school fees and things like that. So we have a general sense of how much we spend on some of the major categories. But there's this idea in management that says, if you don't monitor it, you cannot measure it. And if you don't measure it, you cannot manage it. Think about this. A friend calls up and says, hey, let's have a line this weekend, it's so-and-so birthday. And then you want to get a gift for this person, and then you want to do things. Things happen, and a lot of these things cost money. And unless you're keeping track of your money, it's very likely that at the end of a fortnight or a month, you're not able to tell precisely how much you're spending on entertainment, for example. And unless and until you begin to classify your expenses, sometimes you give yourself a shock when you look at what you actually spend on certain things, whether it's clothes, whether it's perfume, whatever, electronic gadgets, as the case might be. Now, that spending, if I could digress a moment, is linked to something we call our money scripts. Each one of us has an internal subconscious belief about money that sometimes we're unaware of, and this would have been inculcated since childhood. So parents, grandparents, siblings, relatives, what have you, they have a common belief about money. Some people will say, money make to spend, you can't take it with you when you die. So you grow up in an environment thinking, spend money, you'll get again, spend, we can't take it. Or sometimes you grow up in an environment where someone tells you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Somehow when you grow up socialized in that way, you feel guilty when you start to accumulate money because you're thinking, just maybe, these are some of the kind of beliefs that we are socialized with, and we don't really understand the power of these things. Alternatively, you hear some people say, I was depressed. I went online and did some shopping. You had to shop to cheer yourself up. You did retail therapy, they're calling it now. These are things that we have to understand ourselves, man, and by man I mean both men and women, mankind. Understand yourself. You pass by a window, you see it well decorated, you see a mannequin in something that you think you just have to have that. Or you see something advertised and you say, I want to get, you have to ask yourself, do I really need this? And understand the impulsive nature of some of your purchases. Because many times we sit with buyer's remorse. Why did I buy this? You use it once and it begins collecting dust. We want to be more responsible in the way we use our financial resources, okay? We want to categorize so we know how much we spend on food, transportation, entertainment, housing, clothes, and the like. And we want to prioritize, because when we see how much we're spending, then we could say, I don't want to spend that much on this. I want to spend a little more here. I want to do a little more of that. All right? These are some simple, basic rules applicable to all of us. The third thing is practice budgeting. Most of us think we budget. A lot of us, we don't write down our budget. We know that we paid the light bill last month, so this month we won't have light bill, and we know that we paid this, the phone bill will come on. So we have a general sense, but do we ever structure a budget? Now here, where deviations from the budget leads you to spend in ways many times unintended. you're on your way home from work and you decide, I'll pop into the supermarket and pick a few items. And that's what you tell yourself, convinced. You've done it so many times and it didn't work out, and still you say, I'll pop into the supermarket. And the word pop gives you the feeling that you're just going to pick a few items. And by the time you come out, you see the trolley halfway. Because when you take this, you decided, hey, you know, I need this. And before you know it, you spend on a lot of things. Sometimes you really didn't intend to, and sometimes you don't need. Did you really need those 6 cups of Greek yogurt, 2 of which will expire by the end of the week and you'll throw it out? Did you check to see whether there was seasoning in the refrigerator before you started picking up additional one, so that when you add that on top of those that you bought weekend, half has to be thrown away? Every time you throw away unconsumed foods, or you buy things that you think you might need, and then when the time comes, the expiry date, you won't want to risk eating that. You're throwing it out. You're throwing away hard cash. Practice budgeting. Decide that I am going to spend this on this because I want to ensure that I have sandwiches for the morning for the kids. These are the meals. I'm planning my meals. I'm planning not just for cost cutting, but also for nutrition. All right? And the other thing is, always remember to review and reset. Sometimes we make financial mistakes, and we can be very hard on ourselves as human beings when we make financial mistakes. Remember the gentleman who got the money from a VSEP and he decided to put 3 vehicles on the road, and he had this grand plan about a business and earning how much every week? And within months, the entire program crashed. All right? He went into depression. He was very sad, started drinking, compounded the problem. The idea is, when you make financial mistakes, you have to be able to recover. You have to snap out of it, get up, and keep trying. Okay? The 4th tip, set up an emergency fund. The young people say it in this way: life be living. In my mature language, things happen. All right? You're on your way to work. You did not cater for this. School has just reopened. Some of us kids going back out to school. Before next week, I bet you a letter will come home saying, you need to send so-and-so because they're having an outing, they're having a this, they're having a that, they're raising. All right? And these things, they don't stop. And not just with the kids, sometimes with the vehicle, the dog, the vet, the something, tear, the curtain, the front yard, things happen. And what we recommend is that you keep emergency fund equivalent to 3 to 6 months of your after-tax salary. Now, if you can't make that amount and you can make 2 months, that will also be fine. But the recommendation is for 3 to 6 months, and you can use it when required, but always remember to replenish, and to automate putting into that so you keep the fund where it needs to be. Trust me on this one. Things will happen that will cost you that you never anticipated. All right? And the 5th and final tip, this is the side with the tips, some of you well familiar with it. The final one is to make money work for you. Don't work for money, but make money work for you. I'll just tell you 2 things in that regard. How many of you all have heard about the rule of 72? All right? The rule of 72 is a simple rule that says, if you set aside money, the interest rate earned on that money, when compounded, if you divide that rate into 72, it tells you how long it takes to double your money. So if you have an investment that is paying 6%, 6 into 72 is 12. At compound interest, it takes 12 years for your money to double. All right? Compounding interest is an important part of making money work for you and not working for money. So let me start from the top quickly. The first thing is to reduce debt. And there's good debt and bad debt. Good debt might be incurring debt to invest in yourself. I want to take a course. I want to study law. I want to do IT. I want to expand. I want to open a small business. I want to, all right, something that will generate productive income either in the short, medium, or long term. You can incur debt for these things, but incurring debt for things like fun. I want to do a cruise. I've never done a cruise. My friends are going to this place. I'd like to go visit with them. We are having a girls' trip to Las Vegas, or we're having a guys' lime in the Bahamas, or whatever it is. These things are about fun. They are not priority. They are not needs. I'm saying to you, live life with balance. You do have to enjoy your life. But for things like those, it's better that you accumulate the money, that you save and prepare for them in whatever way you can, than you go enjoy yourself and months after you're burdened paying back this debt, which you enjoyed in 4, 7 days, 3 nights and 4 days, and you're 20, 30, 40,000 in debt, paying back over how many years, all right? We want to make these things make sense. So reduce debt. And in reducing debt, we can also consider substituting expensive debt for cheaper debt. So when your credit card or when any expensive form of debt that you have before you reaches a portion that it becomes challenging, substitute that for something cheaper. So I'm saying to you, use a credit union loan where you pay 1% per month and you decline in balance rather than doing higher purchase and paying almost twice for the item. Interest rate on credit cards, 2.25% on your reducing balance. If you take $20,000 and you just pay the minimum amount, you know how long it takes you to pay off that? Credit card debt is very expensive. It's better that you take an installment loan, create your credit card and start afresh. It costs you much cheaper. Now these are just some basic practical tips that I think we all have to remember, think about, and incorporate as part of our responsible financial behavior. The other thing is make quality investments. Don't let anyone come and tell you, put 10,000, put 5,000, and you're going to get 20,000 in 2 weeks' time, or bring 2 friends, or they have a trust circle, or any of these kind of shady. Anytime you find that they're offering too much in too short a period of time, you want to ask hard questions. What are you all investing in? And allow them to explain to you, well, I don't know. It's always something very fuzzy. Well, I don't know, but I got my money. Because sometimes, as Trinbagonians, we lack moral intelligence. Because a lot of the people who were duped in some of the schemes, the Ponzi schemes and the pyramid schemes and so, they knew fully well what they were getting themselves into. But you know what? Some said, if I could get in early and get out my money, I'll be okay. It's them to catch. But you didn't think that it might be a single parent who, in desperation, put her money in there because she needed a device, because it was COVID and the children were home and it was difficult to do the homework on the phone. That didn't matter to you. All that mattered was that you got in and you got your money and you were okay with that. Some people knew, others didn't. Others really believed that by some magical formula they were invested in uranium, cobalt, whatever, and well, if they were investing in something legitimate, why didn't they get all the money from their family and make the entire family, the entire generation rich? They're not going to their family, but they're coming to you as a friend and telling you to tell your friend and gathering money and leaving people. And you know who suffer the most? Those who are most desperate. All right? The third thing is diversify risk. I knew a lady who inherited a large settlement from a divorce. And she wanted to be secure, so she invested in what at the time was presumably a solid investment with a good return. But she put all her money there. That was a very bad mistake, because the investment was not covered by deposit insurance. There was no authentication by the Securities and Exchange Commission that this was legitimate. But she put her money there, and for a period of time, she did get a good return. And when things unraveled, it was very, very painful to see someone at that age losing such a significant amount and wondering whether they'll have enough to carry on and meet their needs and what have you. So be very careful and do not put all your eggs in one basket. Finally, compounding, I spoke about it. Think about the rule of 72. If the interest rate is 3%, it takes 24 years for your money to double compounding. If it's 6%, 12 years. If it's 5%, around 14 years, and so on. All right, just think about it. It's one of the fastest way of getting money to go, having it compounded. The interest earned, allow it to go back and build interest on top of that. All right, so those are the 5 money management tips that I wanted to share with you. Now, if you want to get further information on any of these things, the Central Bank's website has a section called Public Education. And we have some for young people, for people who are about to purchase a home, for people trying to manage debt, all different situations that you can imagine. We have information and resources. So please go to our social media pages, go to our website, and you'll get further information to support what I've said. All right? Now, that was one. The second thing, the rule of the Financial Services Ombudsman. Now, just suppose you followed all those basic tips and rules, all right? You engaged in what could be considered responsible financial behavior, but nonetheless, you found yourself confronting the pitfalls and pain points of an increasingly complex financial system. What do you do? Who do you turn to? Because there's an imbalance of power. You are an individual. A bank or an insurance company has an entire legal department. And sometimes when things go wrong, you go to the bank, you go to the insurance company, and you try to make a claim, or you're asking for something, and somebody tells you, well, that's the policy. And you have to take that and walk away. When I was coming with my money paid, you all were smiling and welcoming me. There was a water cooler, there was a tea station. Now I come to make a claim, you send me around in a dark room with a gruff man denying my claim or beating, you know. We want to be able to navigate the financial system properly when we encounter challenges. And that is where the Office of the Financial Services Ombudsman comes in. Now let me say something. The services that we provide are free. All right, so when you come to the central bank on the first floor, or when you go to our website or any of our social media pages, nothing is required of you in terms of cost. We are here to assist you in navigating the financial system, especially when you have a dispute with your financial service provider, either your commercial bank or your insurance company and non-bank financial institution. And let me just give you some examples of some of the things that we encounter on a daily basis. Within the recent past, the most thing engaging my attention most, text messages were sent out randomly to all kinds of people, and it's saying, your account has been compromised. Click on the link and re-enter your credentials in order to protect your account information and so on. Nothing was wrong with your account. But when you click on the link and you put in your credentials, you're in fact handing over to a hacker who is now going to enter your account and transfer money to somewhere else. And by the time you realize the money was transferred off your account, because you were notified, that money has vanished, disappeared. Now, when something like that happens and you go to the bank, the bank is not reimbursing you your money, because the bank had nothing to do with you clicking on a false link. That is a fraud matter and a matter for the TTPS, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. As heartbreaking as it is, I say this as a cautionary tale to tell people, when you see these kinds of things, check with your bankers, ask a question, make a call. Do not just put in your credentials just like that, because you could learn a painful lesson. All right? Another one, equally painful, but so your son, 19 or 20 years old, just got his license. You have your nice car which you've been taking care of for the last 3 or 4 years. The first one you've driven out of the showroom. And you're so proud and excited to share with him that you go ahead, take a line with your friends. Now, little did you know that the insurance policy that you have said that it covers persons 25 years and over, or persons with a license for more than 2 years. You didn't think about it then. Something happens. You expect the insurance company to pay? No, they won't. You've violated your policy. I'm saying these things because I want people to be aware. Sometimes these situations can be very stressful, but there are many other situations in which the Office of the Ombudsman can assist. All right? Monies were transferred out of the account, not by the phishing scam, or you need your mortgage, your deed of release, the letter when you paid off your mortgage. The bank is taking forever to turn that over. We can make an intervention on your behalf. Someone did shopping in Azerbaijan with your credit card. You know absolutely, you don't even know where on the map to pick that country out, but it said that you were shopping there. All right? You come to us, we give them sufficient time to do their investigation, but if they're taking either inordinately long or they come up with something that we feel is disadvantageous to you as a financial customer, we can make interventions on your behalf. So at the end of this, just look at where and how you can contact us, and should you have any kind of problems. Now, not everything you have a challenge with a financial institution we could entertain as a complaint, all right? If you go to an institution and the line is taking too long and they're not putting out enough tellers, you can't come to us for that. I'm serious. People go online, change your bank, do something else, but we don't entertain those kinds of things. So just to give a rule of thumb that will tell you what you could come to us for, when you engage in financial transactions, there are rights, responsibilities, and obligations on both parties, on the institution and on you. All right? And what we do as a representative, as an advocate, we ensure that financial institutions fulfill their obligations to their financial consumers, and that consumers understand their rights and responsibilities, and they don't expect that we will agitate or advocate on their behalf for something which they're not legitimately entitled to. Our process is called mediation, and we try to be fair in all circumstances. Fair to the individuals and also fair to the institutions. All right? So moving along swiftly. Who is an ombudsman? The word ombudsman is of Nordic origin, from Scandinavian countries. It was supposed to be a citizen advocate, checking the arbitrary exercise of power of governments and state institutions. But in this case, a financial, and do you all know that there's a government ombudsman, right, located at the waterfront? If you have a problem with a ministry, a state-owned enterprise, or any government institution, you can go there for redress. But for us, those things that we deal with is your interface with financial institutions, commercial banks, insurance companies, and non-bank financial institutions. Now, our job is to receive your complaints and to tell you up front whether you have a legitimate complaint that we can advocate on your behalf to ensure that you get redress. Our next responsibility is to report the findings. We report it to the institution and report to you what our investigation has turned up and what is liable. And just a quick example. We do motor vehicle accidents sometimes, and we have cases where someone did a particular maneuver. They did the maneuver and the opposing driver also did something. When we do the investigation, we did not come up with a binary outcome. There was no one person right and one person wrong. They were both wrong to varying degrees, in which case our recommendation is for contributory negligence. So if they were both equally wrong, we will say 50-50 liability. But if one was more wrong than the other, we would recommend 70-30, 60-40, as the case might be. All right? I've already said mediation is our process. Now, we are an independent dispute resolution service. And I say independent, even though the governor is my boss, I report directly to him. No one, whether in the central bank, out of the central bank, in any ministry, can tell us how to, what the outcome of our investigation must be. We are interdependent with a lot of institutions, but we are independent where our investigations and findings are concerned. All right? Our services are free, and what we try to ensure at the end of the day is that there's fairness and equity. All right? We want to also ensure that institutions that you interact with adhere to international and industry best practices, and of course, that they are conform to laws and regulations of the land. All right? I've said before, participating institutions, the only institutions that you can come to us and lodge a complaint about is a commercial bank, an insurance company, and a non-bank financial institution. And by non-bank financial institution, I'm not talking about credit unions and such. I'm talking about only those institutions that are licensed by the central bank. All right? Those are our non-bank financial institutions. So in terms of scope, for banking, we deal with issues with your deposit account, your loan account, credit card services, investment services, trust accounts, and the like. What we don't do, we don't deal with complaints that the interest rate they are charging me is too high. All right? Those things you have to shop around and negotiate. Maybe it had to do with your individual risk profile, but you can't complain to us about how much they're charging you for interest. All right? Fees and charges. These are things you want to be aware of. You're going to take a loan, you want to find out how much is the loan processing fee, how much is the early payment fee, how much is the settlement fee, and these things. We can't negotiate those things. Once you sign for the loan, you've basically agreed to these terms, and therefore you're not able to come to us and lodge a complaint in respect of interest rate charge or fees, all right, on financial transaction. Risk management policies, credit decisions. Someone would have 3 loans with an institution: a mortgage loan, a business loan, and a personal loan. And some difficulty has arisen in the family, and they want the institution to combine the 3 loans to consolidate so that they can make one easy loan payment, because they're in dire straits and they were a customer with the bank for 30 years and the salary passed through there. The bank sees all that they're doing. Why the bank can't do this for them? If the bank says no, you can't complain to us about that. It's entirely within the bank's discretion to determine their credit policies about consolidating loans for customers, all right? And sometimes it's really difficult because a mortgage loan has a specific asset attached to it as collateral, and these other types of loans may or may not. So it might be very difficult, and they tell you, well, no, we can't do that, and you can't understand, but why? I'm banking with you since I left secondary school. Why can't you do this for me, all right? Those things, you can't complain to us about their internal credit policies, all right? The pricing of the services and so on. For insurance services, we deal with life insurance policies, and these are things that you really want to try and understand the terms and conditions of your policies, because I've seen very sad cases where some people, there were certain exclusions in the policy, let's say for critical illness, and those are the very afflictions that they face. And when they went to make a claim, they were told, no, we don't cover this. Say, but how I'm paying my insurance? And then they say, look on page 14, section 7, subsection 2A, paragraph 1. And then you see it was excluded. So my advice to you is just to be careful with those things. So we deal with group health, individual, annuity contracts, casualty, and so on. But we don't say anything concerning premium rates, the actuarial tables, life expectancy, deposit administration schemes, and the like. All right? So when should you make a complaint? Complain to us if you believe that the institution is not fulfilling its contractual obligation or it's engaging in unfair business practices, or they give a decision that you do not accept for whatever reason. You can come to us. We will assess it to see if it meets the threshold for a complaint, or else we might just treat it like an inquiry and see if we could bring some kind of ease or relief to you. The third thing is, if they fail to provide an appropriate answer. Have you ever dealt with an institution and they're just not getting clarity on what exactly is the problem, and you feel like you're going around and around and around? Those are things that you can come to us because they have an obligation to inform you. All right? And just to summarize, we are a mediation agency. We provide redress to customers, financial customers, free of charge. We try to ensure that financial institutions are fair in their dealings with individuals. We want to ensure that consumers' contractual rights are protected, and we try to ensure that there's transparency, consumer confidence, and trust in the financial system. Ladies and gentlemen, these are our contact details. Thank you very much for your attention. All right, but do they have any questions? All right, before I ask you 2 questions, I want to know if you all have any questions. I'll answer maybe 2 questions to be balanced and fair. Any questions? Okay, great. So I'll ask 2 questions. These 2 questions have gifts involved. So think carefully, be calm. Don't shout out the answer. Just raise the hand where you are, and depending on who raises the hand first, we will just identify you to answer, all right? In the first part, I gave 5 financial tips. Can anyone remind me of 3 of those 5? All right, I see a hand there in blue. But all right? Please stand, yes. Set goals. Set an emergency fund. Pardon? Make your money work for you. She got it. Okay, someone was paying attention. All right, the next question. You went to your credit union, you took out a CUNA policy, something happened, you attempted to make a claim on the policy, and you were not satisfied with how they were dealing with you. Can you come to the Office of the Financial Services Ombudsman and lodge a complaint? No. You can't shout after. I don't know.
No. No.
I'm not sure. As the referee, okay. We have a winner, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. So the first person would have gotten a voucher from Massey. So we will present that to you, and we have a hamper that we will pass to you just now, okay? So thank you, Mr. Studad, and if I could invite our Deputy CEO, Ms. Lystra Lucilio, to present you with a token of appreciation. So I just wanted to add that Mr. Studad has actually participated and presented at all 4 of our roadshow events across Trinidad and Tobago. And we at the Commission, we are very grateful for your continued support. Thank you, Lystra. Thank you, Dominic. Now for some entertainment. To highlight the importance of saving and investing, please welcome members of the Drama Making a Difference Company. We hope you enjoy.
I'm going to make a magic here. But anybody can remember the first investment they ever make? Huh? No? You can't remember the first investment? Well, I was in standard... Nah, it was no one. It was standard 3. It was standard 3. I was in standard 3. And the shop next to my school, they had arcade, Donkey Kong. Anybody know what Donkey Kong is? Yeah, right. They have an arcade now. But I went in that shop to buy red mango. That's the plan, to go and buy red mango. And this woman say 50 cents per chance, right? And how will you find my interior design going here? This looking good? Is that looking good? Let me know. Is this working? It's working, right? It coming to come, I done. Talk about it coming to come. I done here. After this is some, what's the name? What to my tape? Yes, come back to my story. So Donkey Kong catch my eye. Now the plan was what? Red mango. 2 pieces of red mango. The woman say 50 cents. I never played the game in my life. I'm trying to make sure that this thing stick, right? I never think this in my life. Do so. This is the last thing I'm going to do. The last try I'm going to try again. I have to concentrate. Right, good. Do so and take my 50 cents. Give this woman give me a coin. Pushing the coin, actually what to do, she say, well, you have to catch the banana or something because it's monkey swinging, right? It's like, dum. 1 life gone. Dum. 2 life. Within 5 seconds, my 50 cents disappear. I watched the 2 pieces of red mango. That was one of the worst investments I ever make in my life. Because I see my 50, you know what it is. After school, you still have 50 cents. And you buy it, know you're going to eat your red mango. And ladies and gentlemen, we are the Mad Company. I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy Scam Jam. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Pibs, TKR looking like the winner in the CPL this year, you know. That coach teaching them boys everything you do here.
That is why I tell you, we have to buy them tickets for Guyana. No, I have to be in that final.
No.
What do you mean no? You're not going and leaving me here like how you do it the last time, you know.
Oh, God, Jesus.
Don't bring Jesus into this, brother. This is between me and you.
Girl, well, if this is true I read in here, we wouldn't even have enough money to jump in a maxi and reach in town.
What are you talking about?
Trin Bay coins, in the papers, look.
What do you mean? That's good thing. You remember Sandra that say last year after Carnival they had give she 7 times she investment. That's what I tell you to invest all your back pay
All.
inside Trin Bay coin. Because eventually we get 10 times. You know what's 105,000 multiplied by 10?
Zero.
No fool. It's over $1 million.
Well, according to this article that I read in here, it's zero.
What do you mean? What are you talking about? Give me the paper. Thousands of investors.
My whole back page. Whole back page.
Revealed to be a Ponzi scheme. The company was never registered to sell securities in Trinidad and Tobago. Officials warn the public to need to be aware of warning signs of investment fraud. If it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. Oh no!
Yes!
No!
Yeah, and it's all your fault.
How is my fault? It's you, remember, it's you who take the $8,000 and put it into the getting. It's you.
$8,000? You want to bring back up $8,000? You know it's $8,000 compared to $105,000? $8,000 is a small thing. Karen, really tell me, make sure that this company registered with this TTSEC thing, I know.
You mean TTSEC?
Yeah, TTSEC, Trinidad and Tobago.
Security Exchange Commission.
Yeah. That is why we never hear from Trin Bay coin in over 2 months. A matter of fact, what, Sandra?
You mad at what for she to laugh at you, you stupid? Remember, Sandra and them say they wasn't going back any susu yet because they take the money to do a down payment on their house.
Talking about house. We pay for the fridge and the stove this month?
No, God, you remember? Oh, God, we said we was going to unban we belly with this investment. And when we get paid out, we'd pay off everything and buy a little fixer-upper after we come back from the cruise. Oh, God.
So you didn't even pay the rent?
Oh, God, 3 months now. Oh, God.
So that means that...
Yes, we're going to get put out, Raj. We're going to get put out today. We were supposed to get it paid out, but now we're going to...
Okay.
What
Okay. Look. Oh, relax. I have a plan, right? You listening? I have a plan. Hear it. Well, it's either that or we move back in by my mother, you know?
Sleep on now because I'm not going back to
Look, relax. Just trust me now. Trust me. Go in the back, take the dog and them, tie them in front. When the bill collector and them reach and they start the back and thing, then you come in.
Are you sure?
Yeah, trust me now. Trust me. I have you. Trust me. Trust me. Go ahead. Raj, what we going to do? We're going to spend my whole back pay, you know. My mother tell me not to take no advice from you, you know. My whole back pay. And then they come in my face, Raj, what we going to do? I don't want to sleep by your mother. You sure that go work? My whole back pay, girl.
Mr. Butler,
Yes?
I am here to collect the fridge and the TV. Because, sir, we sent several correspondents. Sir.
My wife, she have a headache.
What I have to do with anything?
She now come out.
Come out from where?
From jail.
What?
You have some real nice eyes, girl.
Jail? What jail? What?
Oh, yeah. She killed she boss lady. She was sitting right here talking to me and but the case, I get dismissed for temporary insanity.
What?
Oh, yeah, she father was a madman too, but I tell her, your eyes nice. You having contacts? Your eyes real.
Hey! This is what's going on here! Listen! No! I am not here to collect it!
What tell you? What tell you?
Oh God, yes.
Trust me.
Come on, yes. That was a...
I have a plan.
Oh, good.
What them talking about in front there?
Don't worry about...
I tell them we want no dog in my property. Look at them at the gate.
Mr. Landlord, don't worry about Sheba and them now. They'll be fine. They never bite here, so don't worry about it.
Just give them rent. Let me leave here fast because it's 3 months now.
But Mr. Sheba, you look at real nice in this shirt.
What I have to do with the rent?
You have a nice little boomsy, you know I have a thing for boomsy.
My wife tell me that already, and I know you see that. Just give me.
Let me see your muscles. You're going to the gym?
No, well, my wife have one and you diet, and you know.
Take a seat now.
What?
You okay?
No, listen, it's just the rent I come here for, you know.
Let me tell you, you know how long I'm watching here?
No. I will kill them. No, wait, I'm not like that. But I tell you, I don't need no gym, girl. I don't need no gym. I don't need.
I know you is my man.
People has run from me.
Oh my God. Those are some wild dogs out there.
Oh yeah. We didn't feed them dog in some months.
Oh my God.
And you are?
Oh God. Hi, I'm Miss John.
Sit down.
You're Raj Butler, right?
Right, sit down.
And your grandfather was Nicholas Butler?
Oh yeah, that's my father's father. But I never met him because my father died when I was young, so. Why, he dead or?
Sorry to say yes. But he left an inheritance for you. Yes. And we have been looking for you for like 6 months now.
6 whole months?
And I must say, your grandfather was a wise man.
What do you mean?
Well, he left a portfolio of savings, bonds, mutual funds, and his estate. It's all that is amounted to $6.3 million.
6.3?
Yes, and he did his research and ensured that the companies are registered, and he made some good investment plans.
6.3?
Yeah. So I always tell my clients to start there. To ensure that the companies are registered so that it's not a scam. So, and TTSEC has a website where you can go on and get free resources to help you invest wisely. Mr. Butler, you've heard of them, right?
Kind of.
Right, and your grandfather had good knowledge, so he made some good investment plans. So that's why his portfolio came up to so much. But in order for you to get the money, there's a stipulation. These documents must be signed by his birthday, which is today, September 10th. Or all his inheritance will go to the NGOs that he supported. So,
listen, don't worry about that. Before you leave here today, that document go in and get signed. I just want to just want to appreciate this moment
Sir,
here.
listen, I can't seem to find a pen.
Just
Do you
don't
have a
worry,
pen?
I have pens. I have plenty pens. I just
No,
want
but just have to sign now.
Listen,
We just have to go.
Listen.
Yes.
You understand what you're telling me?
Yes,
You
6.3 is a
understand?
lot of money. 6.3 million is a lot of money, yes.
Listen, now, you understand what God doing in my life, using you as a messenger. Girl.
Yes.
I really appreciate this.
Okay.
You changed my life.
Okay.
It's hard, you like to. Listen to me. If you know what's good for your woman, you better get it. Sit it. Just sit there. We wait till me just now for. It's king woman. Your plan working. It working. Oh God. Wow, you really like shit? I'm gonna bring she back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring she back.
That woman telling me she have over 6 million for me and you, and all you have to do is sign today, and you take childish games.
You sure that's not a scam?
No, girl. She say even invest in registered products like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and even have a diversified portfolio. Even use a registered broker dealer to help him.
What?
Yes, girl. The TTSEC has been doing outreaches in communities and things to raise awareness and educate people financially. You know it is if we were saving $1,000 every month. You know how emergency funds would have been looking like all now?
Oh God, Lord. Why you didn't tell me that? But I really did see them out the road when I was coming in, you know. And if TTSEC is a regulator, then we could make a complaint, right?
Yeah, we could use the app and thing and complain, but before we do that, let me go and find that woman. And listen, you see all this shortcut and scheme and thing? That we done it and like we really set a budget and a savings and invest properly now.
No, that's there is a plan. You have data on your phone by chance?
Yeah.
Let me go and find this done and see if we could follow up on that thing. Let me go.
So is she gone?
Well, then we go find you always remember the game she gave.
Thank you. Oh, okay. Thank you for that very entertaining skit. Let's hear it one more time for the Mad Company. So now that we know how to manage our money and clearly the importance of investing, right? Our next presentation will focus on investment instruments, investing in the local stock markets. And this presentation is on behalf of the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange Limited. And presenting to you is Mr. Shiva Bisesa, Manager of Market Operations. Let's welcome him.
Good afternoon, everyone. I don't think I could make you laugh as the previous persons, but I'll definitely try my best. So my name is Shiva Bisesa. I am the Manager of Market Operations at the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, and I'm here today to welcome you and to basically teach you guys on investing. So let's just kick things off. On the agenda, we have what is investing, what is available for investing, why invest, what are the benefits and the common myths, and I'm going to tell you about our online trading platform known as TOP. So let's start off. What is investing? Investing is putting your money to work for you. Now, the presenter before me told you about the rule of 72 and all that you can do, to get your money working for you. And I'm here to just tell you one of the avenues. So the stock market is the process of buying and selling securities that includes shares, mutual funds, and bonds. Shares are basically small piece of ownership in very large corporations. Some of the very entities that you guys deal with on a daily basis, you could be part owner of. Mutual funds are basically a pool of investments where it could be shares and bonds mixed together, and you could get that diversified portfolio that we keep hearing about all afternoon. And a bond which is a debt contract between an issuer and a lender, and there are two categories. First and foremost, you'll always hear about the government issuing bonds to fund different projects, and it can also be corporate bonds. So let's go. So as mentioned before, a share or stock is a financial instrument that represents ownership in a company. And there are two ways in which you can purchase a share. One, through a primary market. So some of you may have heard that popular companies may come to the market through one way, through an APO and IPO, which is an initial public offering or an additional public offering, and they could basically offer shares to the public. So a recent company was MedCorp. MedCorp came to the market for the first time. They had an IPO and it was successful. It was fully subscribed. Everyone took part. The other way now is where you came in, you bought shares through an IPO and you want to cash out. The share price went up and you now want to get back your cash. You can now offer your shares for sale on the secondary market. This is where shares are bought and sold between investors. The stock exchange is a platform that provides an electronic platform where shares can easily be done between the buyers and sellers. What companies are listed on the stock exchange? Well, first and foremost, we have several sectors. We have banking, conglomerate, manufacturing, non-banking, property, trading, energy, and more popularly, our SME market. So some of the banks you guys may know: First Citizens, Scotiabank, Republic, NCB, and First Caribbean. Some of the conglomerates that you guys may deal with on a daily basis: Massey, Answer McCall, Grace Kennedy. Some of the non-banking that you guys may know are more like the insurance companies: Guardian Group, Guardian Holdings. Some of the trading companies might be popular: Agostini, LJ Williams, and recently we had listing the A as a Briding Group. Some of the smaller companies that you might know that are our SME market are Cinema One, Endeavor Holdings, and recently MedCorp and Solace. Now let me say, how do you invest in stocks? So let's say we have an investor by the name of Jane. Jane decides to buy 100 shares of Massey. And she decided to do this on the 29th of August, 2024, just roughly 1 year ago. She invested $350 because the share price of Massey is $3.50 per share, and she bought 100 shares. So she invested $3.50 into Massey shares. During that time period, Massey paid out $13.63 in 2024 in a final dividends. Jane collected her for that period. In Q1, Massey declared a dividends of $3.54, same for Q2 and for Q3 as well. 1 year later, 2025, August 29, Jane decides to sell her shares. As at August 29, the share price for Massey was $3.95. Jane basically gained two ways. One, through dividend income, where when the companies make profit, they then give back their profits to their shareholders in the form of dividends. She collected $24.25. She then made a capital gain, and a capital gain is basically the gain that you make on selling your shares during the period. It must be noted that you can also make a loss because share price do go up and down. And as previously mentioned, all investments carry risk. However, Jane was able to earn $69.29 just on her 100 Massey shares in that 1 year period. Why invest? Well, there are some basic misconceptions that everyone thinks. Firstly, everyone thinks that you need a lot of money to invest. That is simply not true. You could start investing with as little as $100. 2, investing is exclusively for the wealthy. Again, most persons may think growing up you would always hear that persons have portfolios, as the guy mentioned before, your grandfather left a 6.9. That is not true. Anyone could invest. Thirdly, high risk always leads to high return. That is not true. Jane, for example, invested $350, and within a 1 year time, she was able to gain $69. That is just approximately, I can't do the maths, I think that's like an 8% return there. Fourthly, investing for experts. Not true. There are many investment houses that offer advice to you, and give you the ability. So they basically tell you what they think is a good share to buy, when is a time to sell, and they offer the advice to the public. Benefits of investing. Firstly, as mentioned before, buying shares in a company makes you part owner of that company. This is something that most people don't know. Do you know that your shares could be used as collateral for taking a loan? So for example, you have $100,000 in Massey shares. That can be used by many entities as collateral, and you could pledge your asset and borrow against your shares. Thirdly, as mentioned before, you receive a portion of the profit from the company in the form of dividends. And lastly, investors can benefit from capital appreciation. This is where the share price increases over time, and when you sell, you gain from it. So first step when you decide, hey, I want to invest. Well, the first step is to identify a broker. As you will see on the screen, there are 8 registered brokers in Trinidad and Tobago. And as the previous presenters stressed, make sure that the brokers are represented. So I'll just call out some of the names. We have BOSS, we have JMMB, First Citizen Brokerage Services, WISE, Republic Wealth Management, Shepherd Security, NCB. When deciding to pick a broker, it all depends on your personal preference. It could be based on location, which one's close to you. It could be based on fees, which one is the most competitive. It could be based on who allows you to come in with a little. Some may have a minimum investment rate, some may have none at all. It's all based on your preference. Now I'll tell you about our online trading platform. So usually, you know, when you're watching movies, you will always hear about the stock market where persons pick up the phone and they place a call and they say buy, they say sell. That's no longer, that's a thing of the past. Now we have the ability to basically log online, create a profile. Once your brokerage account is open, you could create a online profile that allows you to trade. Essentially what this means is that once you have a valid email address, you create a profile and you add your brokerage account, you could place your order to buy and sell your shares at any point in time, 24 hours a day, and your shares will then be processed the next available time. The stock markets are usually open Monday to Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. Some of the benefits of using TOP. One, as I told you before, it's real time, so you could log in at any point in time. You can manage your funds, and you can see your portfolio at any time in terms of real value. So at this point in time, I will now have on the screen some quiz times. I'll give you some opportunity. So the first question will be, what is the name, and this is a basic question, what is the name of our online trading platform? I'll pick the young lady in the black and white to the back. Yeah, we can hear you. Right? Congrats, correct. Second question, correct? Name one of the most recently listed companies on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. I saw the gentleman to the front. Great. So there are 2. So there's A.S. Bryden, which listed a couple weeks ago, and there's MedCorp that listed about 2 months ago. Last question. What are the 3 types of securities that are available for trading on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange? Correct? All right? So now I would like to give you guys the opportunity where you could now use your phone and scan the QR code, which will give you the ability to go directly to our website and create your online top account. All right. All right, so thank you.
Thank you very much, Shiva. And for those who you could just raise your hand so we can make sure you get the vouchers. Who got the answer correctly? All right, just a bit of a reminder, we would have had a pre-survey in your registration packages. Could you just please complete it, and you could probably pass it down, and the staff of the SEC will collect it. Well, I know we're all here and we're paying attention, so that's great, and many of you are getting prizes. So we do encourage you to continue to enjoy the presentations and listen to the information being shared. A reminder that the investment vouchers, so those were the $500 vouchers, are now up next, especially with these 2 presentations. So I encourage you to continue to pay close attention to our presenters. What exactly are mutual funds? Well, let's hear from the representative of the Mutual Funds Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Presenting to us today is Ms. Farina Ramkisoon, Investment Specialist at the RBC Royal Bank of Trinidad and Tobago Limited. Let's welcome her, please.
Okay, pleasant good evening, everyone. So, this is me. Okay, so I usually start with a warm-up question. If you had money to invest, 6.3 million, like our friend Raj, where are you going to put it? You could just shout your answers. Split it up. What's that? Unit trust. Okay, good. That's a good answer. So some people might say unit trust, split it up, bonds, real estate. The only wrong answer here is under the mattress, okay? I hope nobody doing that still. So what I'm going to get into today is what is a mutual fund. So simply put, a mutual fund is a pool of money collected from many investors, just like you and I, and invested in a mix of assets. So Shiva would have touched on the stock exchange, and those assets are included, like stocks, bonds, and other securities. So what is great about mutual funds is that you don't have to pick one thing to invest in. Think of it like a fruit basket. Instead of buying one fruit, it's a variety of fruits in that basket. So why do people like mutual funds? So again, as I mentioned, variety. It's made up and spread across many different investments. So you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. Secondly, it's professionally managed with experts and financial managers who track the daily market and make decisions on when to buy and sell. And thirdly, accessibility. As Shiva said, you don't have to have millions to start. You can start with a little bit. So how do mutual funds work? So step 1, investors pool their money. Step 2, the fund manager of the institution invests that money in a range of securities. And step 3, those investments now gain returns through dividends, interest, or capital gains. And step 4, this is reflected through these returns. There's another step here called the net asset value. So that is called the NAV, and what that really is the value of a unit within that mutual fund. So it's a cycle that repeats itself, and it goes back to the investor. So there are several types of mutual funds. There are equity funds invested solely in stocks. There are debt funds, which are a little bit more conservative, and these are invested in bonds and other fixed income securities. And then there are balanced funds made up of both stocks and bonds. And also we have money market funds, which are very safe and focus on more short-term investments with low-risk security. So these choices depend on your goal as an investor. So what exactly are these funds invested in? So you'll often see local and international shares. As Shiva explained, these are part ownership in companies both locally and abroad. You'll also find bonds. These are loans to governments or large companies with fixed interest payments. Treasury bills, which are short-term loans to the government, and other low-risk options. And then there are also money market instruments like CDs, or what we call fixed deposits, which preserve your capital while earning you a modest return. Right. Benefits of a mutual fund. So mutual funds bring several advantages, some of which are diversification. So your money is spread out and hence reducing your risk. Professional management. Experts handle the hard work, so we take those decision-making off of you, and we make these decisions on what to buy, when to buy, and when to sell. Liquidity, meaning that you can buy or sell very or fairly easily. Accessibility, again, I can't reiterate, you don't need to start big, you can start small. And importantly, the potential for growth or the real opportunity to build your wealth over time. So these are three investment levers that I always refer to. There are three main levers that impact your investment. How much you invest, meaning that more invested is the greater potential for returns. How long you invest is the longer your money stays invested, the more it grows through compounding, and how much risk you want to take. Higher risk can lead to higher returns, but also potential losses as well. So this graph is pretty self-explanatory. It sums it up perfectly. Low risk usually means low return, while high risk offer a possibility of a higher return. The key is knowing your own comfort level. Mutual funds let you choose the risk level that is right for you, from safe, steady options to more aggressive growth options. So how is that done? So most financial institutions would meet with you, a financial advisor will meet with you, and they will go through your risk, what we call your risk appetite. So there are a series of questions that are designed that we ask each person that will determine what your risk level is and how much risk you're willing to take and what you're comfortable, how long you want to invest, and what your goals are. Right, so diversify your portfolio. I think that is the theme for tonight, not all the eggs in one basket. So a diverse portfolio will have some elements of cash, mutual funds, stocks, and bonds in it. And finally, an investment plan can help. So remember, it's not just about choosing a product, it's about having a plan, like Mr. Stoddard said. Ask yourself, do I have an investment plan? Have I looked at my short-term and long-term needs? Do I know which investment can help me get there? When you have a plan and the right tools like mutual funds, you give yourself the best chance to meet your financial goals, and with that in mind, the best time to start is today. So, what are your next steps? Contact a financial professional or a financial advisor. Ask them to meet, sit with them, determine what your goals are, determine what your level of risk is, and determine exactly what you need to put out to achieve those goals. Questions? Any questions for me before I ask you my questions? Sure? I'll have to ask. Let me find out. Yeah? Any other question? Sure?
You mentioned, yes, somebody mentioned like unit trust. Could you explain what kind of investment it is in different companies?
So,
different types of
unit
investment?
trust is primarily mutual funds, which is what I presented on. They are mainly mutual fund type investments. Yeah. Any other question? Okay. So I have two questions. Can anybody name for me two types of the mutual funds I mentioned today? In the gray? Yes. This is for $500 in a mutual fund investment of your choice. Yes. I saw your hand first, sorry. Yeah, name two types of funds that I mentioned.
The equity fund.
Right.
And there's the debit fund.
Well, debt fund, yes,
debt fund.
that's correct. And I know this may be a little harder, but did anybody take a note what the NAV means? Yeah, in the end? Oh, very lovely. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, so that's it for me. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your evening. Bye.
The winner of the $500 voucher, if you could just come in front and take a picture. Oh, the card. Thank you so much, Farina, and to all the winners so far. Clearly, you all are paying attention. That's very good. So now that we know about investing, what's next? I know many persons, and even my own family and friends sometimes ask this. They said, how to invest. You may know the products, but actually how to invest. So to address you on this topic and on the role of broker-dealers is Mr. Mark Taylor, Manager of Distribution and Sales at the Development Finance Limited, and he will be presenting on behalf of the Security Dealers Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Taylor.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know it's a bit late, so I hope any information I provide is, retainable. It's definitely been a rainy day, so I know I'm sleepy. I can definitely guarantee that, right? So I hope everyone has had a good time. I definitely enjoyed the entertainment. I hope they hear my praises. So, let's raise a little bit. Yeah? Okay, great. So today I just wanted to go over very simply what you would need to do as an investor. Maybe it's your first time, maybe you haven't invested since 1999 when you bought Republic shares on a physical certificate. Everyone has a different variation of what they would have done for their first investments. And today I wanted to give you an idea as to the different steps that you can take and maybe kind of go over a little bit in summary what my colleagues in the industry would have mentioned in terms of the different investment options that you have available. So going straight into it, before I get into the details, I just want to tell you a little bit about SDAT and the Securities Dealers Associations and what we do as an association. So as you're aware, and as my colleague from the Ombudsman would have mentioned, there are persons or parties that are responsible or have some semblance of responsibility in terms of managing any complaints or maybe some challenges that may be faced by individuals. And the SDAT, what we do is we take the broker dealers and we have an association that manages the majority of broker dealers and even those that might not be a member of the association and look at their requests and their particular constraints, and we go to our regulators, whether it be the TTSEC or any other regulator that might have some control over these investment structures that each individual broker offers. And from there, we can have discussions and have a broader understanding as to how we as an association and as investment leaders and advisors can help advance what we call the capital market. Capital market is a really fancy word for everything that we've spoken about tonight already, whether it be mutual funds, trading of bonds, whether it be purchasing of equities on our TTSE. It's all a conglomerate then, and it's all a better understanding as to how you can save, how you can invest for your future. Because, I can tell you as young as I was in 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the first thing that I wanted to know is how can I make more money and where do I start? So hopefully we can tackle that today, yeah? So our members, just a small list of our members, Answer Merchant Bank, Boss Securities, some names that you're familiar with that would have came up a little bit earlier when Shiva would have went over his list of brokerage firms. But you may notice a couple of them that are a little bit different, and we'll go over why they were different in the next slide. But just to give you a brief understanding, there are two variations of a broker. You have your broker dealers, and then you may have a brokerage firm, which carry different dealings within the market and can serve different purposes. For example, a very easy explanation or example, Some can help you trade through the TTSEC and some cannot because of a different license that they both carry, right? Now, going into what is a broker-dealer, as I just said, there's two different variations. A broker-dealer can be broken down into those exact two different words, a broker and a dealer. A broker essentially arranges transactions, trades for the client side of things, whilst a dealer handles for their own, what we call their own book or a proprietary book, meaning that they trade the funds for the company in the company's name, right? Now, as I went over, there are a list of broker-dealers that are licensed through the TTSEC, and it is very important to get familiar, especially when you're getting into the investment world. And I would say since COVID, there's been a lot of schemes, different types of transactions that people come to you and say, hey, there's X amount of percent in 3 days, 2 weeks, bring whoever you want, we'll make money and we'll all go home happy. The truth of the matter is, and if you were to do a little bit of research, just maybe 10 minutes on the TTSE website, you would find out that investing might be simple to start with, but it takes some time and understanding, and that's where the broker-dealers can come in and help you kind of fill that gap of knowledge that might be missed. And for us, and for yourselves as individuals and investors, the TTSEC is a very big help and a big information pool to kind of guide you through that mist, because there may be questions, and I can tell you, as a broker, there are questions that I don't have the answers to immediately. And I have to rely on the TTSEC to guide me accordingly, because when I am guided, I can guide you as individuals and investors, and that's how the investment process should be handled. And part of that guidance comes down to, I would consider, 3 main factors, because it's not only to transact on your behalf. That isn't exactly what a broker-dealer should do. We have different fiduciary responsibilities, which means that it may be written in stone that I have to do business for you, but it is also written in proverbial stone that I have to guide you on that business. Because maybe purchasing equities, maybe purchasing stocks isn't the right fit for you. It may look like high return. I'll give you a really simple example, and you can vet this through the website. I actually went through it earlier today. MedCorp made 8% since issuance. That sounds really good. 8% in 2 months. I'm all for it, right? But there are different factors that should be considered before you make that investment. And that's why it's very important as a broker-dealer and as an investor to have that communication and that conversation. So the first thing that I like to go through with is accurate and timely information. If you come to me with a request or any kind of question, or maybe some ad that you saw, and AI is a very big thing these days, and I've had tons and tons of questions about, is this video real? They said that this man, they impersonate certain professionals in the industry and say, well, this person is doing X, Y, Z. Is it that this person is actually projecting something for the company? Is it that this video is projecting whatever or selling whatever business for the company? And if I take 2 months to respond to you, in that 2 months, desperation is a very dangerous thing to deal with, and we all face it in different volumes and different ways. And if I, as a broker, take too long to get you that information and guide you accordingly, you could very easily end up on the wrong side of the boat, right? And again, it's very easy to tip into the water. And in investments, and especially with your hard-earned money, it is next to impossible in some cases to get back what you've already lost through some of these schemes and measures, which is why information and accurate information and timely information of that is very important to consider when you're a broker and an investor having that communication. Now, suitability, as I kind of hinted to before, and as my colleague from the MFAT would have hinted to, ties to a client's risk appetite. Again, as I kind of mentioned as well, right? Equity mightn't be your thing, bonds mightn't be your thing, but maybe you want a little bit of both and a diversified portfolio, which is the word of the night. I might just make a question up about that just because, but the whole idea of it is to have some semblance of a diversified portfolio, some balance in between investment X and investment Y. Mutual funds might be a good option for that, maybe just buying part of one and part of the other. that conversation needs to be had with your broker-dealer and your advisors so that you have a better understanding as to the decision that you're making. And that is a responsibility of the broker-dealer. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not selling you shoes on the side of the road. This is not Charlotte Street. We don't do business like that. This is your hard-earned money, right? And you should treat it with as much respect as you would when you're earning it, because investing it is equally as important as earning the money in 20 years, right? And that's why suitability and that conversation about suitability is very important with your broker-dealer and your advisors. Next would be market insight. If I know that there's a stock that isn't performing, or maybe there is a investment that seems a little bit too risky, or maybe there's some underlying factors that weren't immediately expressed in whatever document that you received. I see it all the time. My brother sent me XYZ and he said, yeah, this is looking real good. I invest into it. It suits me, but it might not suit you. And the idea of it is very simple. I need to be able, as a broker-dealer, as an investor, to understand what type of market risk, what type of appetite do I need to have? What type of economic status in a country that maybe I'm investing in a Panama bond or in a El Salvador bond? What are the risks involved? What are the market risks involved? What are the economic risks? The risk is a very difficult thing to understand when you're not informed. And that information needs to come from someone that has some understanding within the market. And to be honest, you can go online and you can research, what you should always do before you make any investment. But you should also be able to rely on your broker-dealer to provide that information to you. So going over to that exact risk factor, what I wanted to highlight what I would call 3 sub-factors then. Like I mentioned, an investor has a responsibility to do some research on what you're investing into. If I sell you a fixed deposit at 20%, clearly something is wrong. If I'm a registered institution saying this is 20%, unless this is an oil field that is yet to be had somewhere in Penal, there's no way that that is going to yield you 20%. Unless there's oil in Penal to begin with, under somebody's house, that is not going to yield you 20%. You need to be able to understand as an investor, and when I first started investing, like I said, the knowledge part of it, let's put it like that, is such an important factor. And as you grow as an investor and you get more accustomed, and you might think, I need to have a $20 million portfolio to be able to properly understand and diversify. As all my colleagues here said today, you don't need to have more than maybe $100, maybe $500. It could be any amount once it's within the minimums and the requirements that honestly isn't that taxing, but it takes a very small step. But before you make that small step, you should always have some type of information or research on your own part before you take that leap into the investment. The broker-dealer is also responsible for providing that information to you. And any questions that you might have should be taken up and addressed in the soonest time possible, like we mentioned, in terms of time speak, by your broker-dealer and providing that information to you. Now, what that highlights for me as a young investor, as a 50-year-old investor, there are certain risks that I would like to ask my broker-dealer about, or ask any investment professional then about, which are these 3 factors: price risk, interest rate risk, and liquidity risk. Really fancy technical financial terms that mean things that you deal with on a consistent basis and you might not even realize it. Most of the time, we assume that something cannot possibly fail, and there is no way it could possibly go down, or this is a big institution, my money is always going to accrue. But you fail to recognize that there are price factors in the investment that you took. Understanding those factors will help you make the right decision to match that suitability and to be able to fully understand what you're getting yourself into. Because, again, it is coherently your responsibility, as it is your money, as it is my money. As I am a broker, it is also my responsibility to answer each of those factors and any other factors that you might have. If you want to buy a mutual fund, you need to understand what the underlyings are. Maybe you're not in the right mutual fund. You like mutual funds, but you might be in the wrong one because you bought it or you inherited it in some cases many years ago and you didn't realize what you were into, and maybe there's some other things that you should take into consideration. So going through the risk factors very simply. Price risk, we can tie that to stocks for easy explanation. If the price of something goes up, you make money. That's called capital appreciation. If the price goes down, that's called depreciation. Is the investment that I'm in subject to that factor? People may invest into unit trust, for example, and the price may go up in 10 years, over a 10-year period, and you're thinking, yes, this is really good. But you didn't realize that the price was going up. You just saw you were making more money. You didn't understand, okay, well, there was a price factor, there was a NAV, as we mentioned earlier, involved in making that money. Or maybe there were dividends that were reinvested based on whatever contractual agreement you had. You didn't anticipate that there could ever be a negative correlation to that. And that's why understanding if there is price risk associated with your investment makes a lot of a difference than perhaps just investing and closing your eyes. Because closing your eyes can only take you to dreams at that point, and dreams are not buyable or redeemable with the central bank, and I'm sure my colleague will tell you that, right? Interest rate risk. Interest rate risk is a very simple factor, and it seems very complicated. It can deal with economics, it can be up, down, left, right, it can mean a thousand different things. Do I have to look at CPI and PCE and all these things to understand it? Sure, if you really have the time, but asking your broker-dealer, is there some factor that affects the interest that I earn outside of price, where my price is fixed, you're telling me I'm going to get my principal in 10 years, the exact same thing that I invested, great. But is there some factor that affects my interest earned over that period of time? That's a risk that you need to consider at any point in time for any investment. It may not be common, but because it isn't common doesn't mean that it's a factor that you should ignore coherently. Because I'll tell you, if you have US dollars and you're investing, they love to sneak that little change or that variable rate into there that you might think, I'll come out in 5 years, but 20 years down the line, you're wondering, well, how come I ended up here, right? Liquidity risk. This is probably the most important thing that I've seen in any year and any individual investment. When I invest my money into this, what is the opportunity, or where does that opportunity lie with me getting it back? Can I break it before? Are there fees associated with it? How difficult would it be? Let's say you purchased a bond and you wanted to sell the bond. Is that bond marketable? Is that bond something that I can easily sell? Or do I have to hang on for 20 years before I can get my capital back? Those are questions that you should always ask. If it's invested into a mutual fund, can you take it out a day later if something, I don't know, your house just magically has gas underneath it and they need to break it down, so you want to get your investment back so you could move into an apartment until you make the money? Those are not things that can simply happen, and they are always going to be part of the contract that you need to consider for any investment. And these three, I think, are the major ones. Again, just risk involves with price, interest rates, and liquidity. Now, getting into the meat of it, how do I invest locally? Well, my colleagues can handle two main variations, whether it's through mutual funds or through the stock exchange. Mutual funds, it's fairly easy, in my opinion. Google exists. There are a million different AI platforms that you can use to help you find which dealer, which licensed institution has that opportunity for you, whether it be unit trust, whether it be RBC, whether it be Guardian. Those are just different options that you have to invest into a mutual fund. Is it that I want to buy bonds through a particular broker? Well, does every broker provide it? Those are questions that you need to ask. But I can tell you it is an option that you do have. Not in every case do you need to invest through some particular wealth management scheme to get your funds into a bond or a government bond. You may be able to purchase it directly. But again, that conversation, that question needs to be asked with your broker, and it is possible. So if they tell you no, then maybe you can ask a couple more questions as to, well, is it restricted, etc. There's always a rationale, there's always an understanding. This is not a susu, right? There's always going to be regulations that control, and it's very important to understand what those regulations are. Now, going past stocks, as I think Shiva touched on that pretty nicely, it is very straightforward. You would like to go into the stock market. There are several listed brokerage firms that offer that service to you. They will guide you through the process, tell you there's a minimum amount, what the stock prices are. Maybe they have some recommendations. JMMB and First Citizens do provide that information via some research department that can help you and guide you into some manner to getting your investments towards, maybe it's equities in Republic, or maybe you want to purchase MedCorp. There's always information out there, and if there is no information, then maybe you should guess and second guess, do I want to be into this investment? Now, outside of that, licensed non-bank financial institutions also offer fixed deposits, and banks such as Republic and FCB also offer fixed deposits, which is another investment mechanism that is, again, subject to whatever requirements that they may have, but it is an option that you have, whether you want it covered by DIC, whether you want some other variants of security in a repurchase agreement, then that is also an option that you can take. Internationally is a lot more difficult, and I think we all understand the limitations of access to hard currency. It is almost, I would say, a task just to get hard currency on any given basis for any individual. However, if you are as lucky as our friend, and perhaps instead of 6.3 million TT, you get 6.3 million US. There are varying options that can help you get towards that same investment goal through your local brokers, whether it be communicating with them and getting access to an international platform such as Interactive Brokers, or maybe another investment option in a US dollar mutual fund that is registered and managed locally. That is also an option that you can take through the same local parties that you're accustomed to. Now, in terms of questions, I will open the floor. It's a lot of information, I understand, but are there any questions to me in regards to how do you invest or where you can potentially take the next steps to invest? No, great. So we'll tie up with two. No problem. So we'll do one question, and I'll keep it very simple. Hopefully it is as easy as everything else. Just as a raise of hands, can you tell me what SDAT means? Sure. Yes, that's why I said it was easy. That is correct. Thank you. Yeah. Hi.
Hi, could you come on
You mind coming on stage? Thank you.
You have anything? You have something to present to us? Yeah, you could just.
Is this?
Yeah.
I feel like you went one-on-one here. That's all right.
Thank you very much, Mark, and to SDAT, and to our lucky winner. I've been seeing you trying to get it, and I'm very happy you got one of the best prices for the night, especially as investing. I just want to remind persons, for those who did not complete the evaluation forms, both post and pre, to please do so now, and you can drop it off at the desk on your way out. We have now reached the regulator's role in today's program. Our final presentation will focus on issues related to investor protection. These presenters are staff of the TTSEC, and they will be taking you through the role of the Commission in investor protection. I now invite Ms. Jamila Prescott-Grant, Senior Legal Counsel, and Ms. Karishma Sataram, Legal Counsel, to the lectern.
Good evening, everyone. Based on the wealth of information that came before me, I'm sure my part of the presentation would be a recap for everyone. Before we get started, just a quick disclaimer. The views being expressed are the views of the staff of the Commission and do not necessarily represent the views of the Commission. The presentation is provided for general information purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. The contents of this presentation should not be modified or distributed without express written permission of the staff of the Commission. About TTSEC. The Commission is a regulatory body that gets its power from the Securities Act. The Commission is responsible for the securities industry and the capital market. The security industry and the capital market are financial exchange where companies and governments sell investments like stocks and bond shares to raise cash. Our core mandates at the Commission are investor protection and market integrity. Investor protection is protecting investors from unfair, improper, and fraudulent practices. And market integrity is ensuring registrants comply with the regulatory requirements and keeping regulatory standards so to protect investment and ensure a stable market. We achieve our core mandates through regulations and supervisions, including market surveillance, disclosure requirements, compliance and inspection, investor education, investigation, enforcement, and collaborations with law enforcement and fellow regulators. Important. To conduct certain activities relating to securities, persons or entities must be registered with the Commission. These regulatory requirements are found under Section 51 and 61 of the Act. These registered bodies are known as our registrants. We will now go through some of our registrants. Reporting issuers. Reporting issuers is a person or entity planning to sell securities to the public or company wanting to publicly trade on the stock exchange. Broker-dealers. Broker-dealers are persons or entities in the business of buying and selling securities for its own account or on behalf of its customers. Investment advisors. A person or entity who advise clients are known as investment advisors. Advise clients on securities are known as investment advisors. Investment advice can include advice on what securities to sell or purchase. Registered representatives. All persons who engage in any act, action, or course of conduct in connection with any business activities a broker-dealer is engaged with should be registered with the Commission. These business activities are assisting clients with trading securities, making investment recommendations, making transactions in the security market on behalf of broker-dealers, accepting or opening new accounts, and pre-qualifying potential customers. How to identify persons, entities registered with the TTSEC. A simple search of TTSEC in any internet search engine would populate our TTSEC website. Clicking on that would bring you to our page, and on our page you go to publications and research, where you would find a list of all our registrants. I would now pass you to Ms. Jamila Prescott-Grant.
Good evening, everyone. Oh my. Okay, so I will be dealing with scams and fraud. So how many persons here are on social media? I presume majority of us, right? Well, social media is a two-edged sword because it has its good, but for us as a regulator, it is a nightmare when it comes to scams and frauds. There are several types of scams being perpetuated primarily on social media platforms. They include prohibited schemes. Popular schemes are like the pyramid scheme, which I will touch on a little later on in my presentation, and the Ponzi scheme. There are also persons who are unregistered. As my colleague before would have indicated, in order to trade in securities, you must be registered with us, the Securities and Exchange Commission. So there are a lot of persons purporting to be investment companies that aren't registered with us. There are persons also selling unregistered security products. As my colleague would have indicated, and presenters before us would have indicated, you must have these products registered before you can begin soliciting investors. Also, we have noticed there's an uptick in cryptocurrency and foreign exchange scams. I'll touch on those as well. So the first scam or scheme that I will touch on is referred to under our legislation as a prohibited scheme. And this particular scheme is one example, which is the pyramid scheme, right? So during the pandemic, I am certain a lot of us, if not all of us, were bombarded by persons approaching them, asking them to join a susu or a group, a love circle, a flower or a water group. And these were examples of pyramid schemes. What happened? I'm certain you all would have been approached with this pitch. I know somebody, you give them your money, 10,000, 5,000, 20,000, and in a week's time or in a month's time, you get double your investment, 50% returns, and you're getting your money back for sure. They always cap it off with this. But you have to bring two persons. Well, this is an example of a pyramid scheme. And how the scheme works, there's an organizer, as you can see on the slide, there's an organizer at the top, and this person usually approaches the initial investors, but they really are victims. And they lure these persons into the scheme by telling them you'll receive your money back as well as an unrealistic return. So, for example, the bank is offering 3% on returns. Most fixed deposits, you get 3% per annum. But this person is telling you you're going to get 50% interest or 100% interest on your return. You now saying, oh God, this is real good. So you can't keep this steal of a deal to yourself. So you go and you tell your sister, you tell your mom, you tell your co-worker, because you have to recruit persons. That's the catch in it. You have to bring persons in to be able to get your investment and your return. So you bring persons in, and then you make off with your money because those persons that you would have brought in persons. And this is how the scheme is funded. The funds from investors coming in at the bottom, if you look at the slide, investors coming in at a later stage, they fund the investors who would have gotten in earliest. Mr. Stoddard would have touched on this, right? So be aware, don't fall for these get-rich-quick, easy money scams. I'd also like you to note that under our legislation, prohibited schemes come with criminal penalties as well as fines. So if you are the person, if tomorrow morning you wake up one day and decide, you know what, I'm working too hard. I feel like going and create this scheme and run off with people money. If you have that mindset, just beware that you would be liable if caught and convicted for imprisonment of 10 years as well as a $10 million fine. And this is not or, it is and. If you are a person like Mr. Stoddard in his presentation would have stated, there are some people, they know this is a scheme, they know it. But they tell themselves, you know what? I am going to join and I am going to get in early and run off with my money. So they recruit persons knowing that this is a scheme. If you fall under this category, then you will be liable for a $5 million fine and 5 years imprisonment. And lastly, if you are a person who knowingly advertises or invites persons into these types of schemes, please be aware of the penalty. It's $2 million in fine as well as 3 years imprisonment. So I'll go back now. Other types of frauds and investment schemes that we have noticed are the unauthorized exchange market trading, right? Foreign exchange trading is the most prevalent as well as cryptocurrencies. But these scammers also offer a chance. In some cases, we have not seen it yet, but they offer a chance for contract for difference, binary options, and other commodities, right? Pardon me. But the most prevalent are the cryptocurrency or crypto assets and the foreign exchange schemes. These scams, how they get people is by offering unrealistic, exponential, over-the-top, high returns and guarantees on profits. That's how they lure people in. And what they do, they provide you with the opportunity to trade in these markets. Either they manage the account and make the trades on your behalf as the investor, or you are allowed to use the firm's platforms. Oh, sorry. So an example of how social media can be used by schemers and fraudsters was the Heritage Petroleum scam, which is the slide that you are seeing, the first one. I hope nobody fell victim to this, but a while ago, persons were purporting to solicit investors into purchasing petroleum heritage shares, right? I think Petroleum Heritage had to come out and distance themselves from this. So they use legitimate companies sometimes to lure people in.
The helicopter, park the helicopter in properly. All right, let me call you back. Yay, what's going on? My name is Scammer. Now, the fact that you're here, that means you start right. You want to change your life. And I can provide that for you. Now, it's simple. Everything in life is networking. Everything is networking. Or everything in life is networking. Right? So we have the better life. That involves me. That's me here. Right? All you need after you get me is you. Believe in yourself. 2 people. And watch the money roll in. This is where it is. Now, to start the class, is a down payment required? Right, so it's 20,000 TT to start. And if you have a car keys as well, we need to get around for some of our employees, right? So you could organize that. I think I'm good. Financial freedom is where life is, you know. Yeah, I think I'll... Listen, sir, you don't want to change your life. Remain the way that you live in.
So this was a comic relief, but it tried to show you how persons recruit others into pyramid schemes, right? And it may seem funny now, but during the pandemic and even right now as I speak to you guys, there's somebody recruiting somebody into this type of scheme. The next video that I'll show you all is a real-life victim of a cryptocurrency scheme. This is a Canadian, I believe he was a retiree that invested in this type of scam. And upon realizing that he was schemed, he decided to share his story to prevent other persons from falling victim to this scheme.
I'm in the process of having to sell my house and reorganize my life. I've got maybe 2 or 3 months worth of usable cash left, and that's it.
Stephen Carr of Meaford, Ontario says after watching a video on YouTube, he decided to reach out to a company which promised he could make money trading commodities, foreign currencies, and cryptocurrencies. He started off with a small investment and says it appeared his funds were going up.
What I didn't know at the time is this trading platform I was working on was a simulation. It wasn't connected to anything.
Carr says over 3 months, he handed over $498,000 to criminals. He was told his investments had more than doubled, but when he went to take money out, he couldn't.
I'm devastated. I have spoken to several recovery firms, but they're all in the same boat. A lot of them are fraudulent themselves.
Carr reached out to CTV News, hoping by sharing his story, he can prevent others from being scammed.
If I can get conned, then a lot of other people can get conned.
This is a sad reality that is taking place right here in Trinidad and Tobago. This is not something that is happening in the US or Canada or Europe alone. Persons have been scammed, and that figure is very realistic. A lot of persons invest their retirement. A lot of persons take loans to invest. So, growing up, I used to hear my grandmother say, take front before front take you. Another colloquial expression or saying she would use is don't take candle by night to see what you could see during the day. So, the next part of my presentation is basically showing you what to look for to prevent falling prey like this gentleman. So recognizing red flags. Now in life, we often see red flags and ignore them. But when it comes to your finances, ignoring red flags could be the decision between whether you have a home or you don't, whether you have money for your retirement or you don't. So please take heed and pay attention to some of these red flags. They may very well save you from financial ruin. One of the first red flags that I'll discuss is the fake profiles. And a lot of persons solicit investors or they get investors through social media, but they don't use their real identities. They usually use a generic, let me put it up, right. So they usually use a generic or stolen profile picture. Sometimes they might use somebody prominent in society, and by using that, you feel comfortable. Excuse me if you see me shaking, I'm a bit cold. Then there are those that make fake promises. Be very mindful of unrealistic promises when it comes to returns on your investments, as well as the time frame in which you get back these returns. So what we have seen happening, scammers may advertise a very attractive investment opportunity to potential investors. And the advertisement may take a promise of an unrealistic return in a very short window of time or short space of time. As I said before, if the banks and other legitimate financial institutions offer around a certain percentage of interest, this person coming to you and offering 100% or 50% more than these financial institutions or 50% more on your investment, that should be a major red flag. You should begin to ask more questions. Another major red flag is communication via instant messaging apps. Legitimate financial institutions do not communicate solely over instant messaging apps. What we have noticed is that after victims send a message, after victims send their message indicating interest in the scheme, what the schemer would then do is ask them for their contact information. When you provide the contact information, you then realize the conversation moves to Telegram or WhatsApp. And I like to stick up in here and say, side note, if Telegram is something that you have never heard of before, please take note of it. It is an instant messaging app, and we have noticed that a lot of persons tend to use this. So this is a major red flag. Pay attention. Another red flag is when the representatives of the investment company ask you to make online transfers directly to their personal accounts or third parties' personal accounts. That is a major red flag. Legitimate organizations do not operate or conduct business in that manner. This should make you raise your eyebrow and ask further questions. Please do not send money to unknown representatives under the guise of an investment opportunity. We have seen it happen. This is not stuff that I'm making up. This is real life examples. False claims of no fees and withdrawal within a short time, primarily within 24 hours. So if representatives come to you and they tell you, don't worry, you don't have to pay any fees to join or to purchase this security opportunity or investment opportunity, and then they tell you, you can withdraw even within 24 hours. That is a red flag. The illusion of legitimacy. This is a tricky one. This is something that you really do need to do your due diligence, because what we are observing is that once persons deposit the funds to the scammers and they show proof that they did this, they then receive a link. And this link, along with login credentials, you could then use to open or to sign in to their online platform, right? And when you do this, you would find that the money you have invested has grown ridiculously larger in a short space of time. These types of things are red flags. Also, sometimes what they tend to do is you would get your returns in another currency, predominantly US dollars, but sometimes it's even cryptocurrency. So pay attention. The impersonation of legitimate persons, high-ranking officials, and businesses. This is another one that I have to take a pause with, because artificial intelligence is being used by scammers. Scammers are now producing documents with legitimate business logos, and this tends to create within you a sense of trustworthiness with them, and you feel as though you're investing with somebody who is legitimate, because you tell yourself a financial institution wouldn't put their name on something like this if it was a scam. But AI is here, and it is being used by scammers. They even generate images of high-ranking officials. We had in times past persons who were in office coming out and distancing themselves from videos. We had persons distancing themselves from newspaper articles that are soliciting or promoting investment opportunities. So this one, you have to really, really do your research before investing. This is a major red flag, so please pay attention. If you have reached to the point where there's a withdrawal delay, well, you're already deep within the scam. But that is also a red flag, and you need to report. Because what tends to happen when you are now ready to withdraw your returns, there's a delay. Or they tell you you have to pay a fee to be able to withdraw your money. You go, you pay the fee, and then after you pay the fee, they might tell you, all right, well, the window for withdrawing today has expired. Try tomorrow, but you have to pay a fee again. And sometimes these fees start at $1,000. So please pay attention to these red flags and do not fall victim. Another one, I mean, this is a no-brainer, but I'll still say it again. Anybody requesting sensitive information, such as your personal banking information, your PIN, credit card PIN, credit card credential, that should make you stop, pause, and ask some questions. Because you are never supposed to reveal or give over this information to anyone, especially an unknown representative from any type of organization. Because most times, what we see happening with social media scams, you have never met the person in person. You do not know the person. You have just communicated on an instant app or online platform. Yet and still, we find persons feeling so comfortable in turning over these sensitive information. So please, when asked for stuff like this, immediately stop. Next, I would have touched on this before, but I'll bring it up again. Being asked to transfer money to a third party who would then transfer the money to the investment company. This is an example of possible money laundering occurring. Please, this is a red flag. Pay attention to stuff like this. Ask questions. The other point is tied to this point, where launderers try to avoid the paper trail that banking or financial institutions would have if they follow the legitimate means. So what you might find happening is that you would just receive money into your account without your consent, and then they would contact you and tell you, could you please transfer this to the company? This is a way for them to avoid the paper trail or to divert attention from them. Please pay attention. Continuing fees. I spoke about this before as well. This is when you are asked to pay a fee to withdraw your money, and you continuously pay fees and you cannot withdraw your money. Persistent follow-ups are another indication in the earlies that this is a scam. When you see the ad on social media and you message expressing interest, if you find that the persons are following up frequently, trying to coerce you into making a payment, make an initial investment, calling, messaging, and it's overbearing, it's usually them putting pressure on you to invest. It's a scam. Pay attention. Another good one is testimonials. As the saying goes, the best advertisement is word of mouth. So what these scammers do, they get victims to make videos saying that this is a lucrative investment, it's profitable. They give commendations, and sometimes these videos appear on their websites or social media pages. This tends to cause you to let your guard down, because now you feel as though this is a real investment because other persons have successfully gained returns. Well, if we get to this next red flag, it's completely too late, because most times, once they get your money, they disappear. You find communication become non-existent, and then you can't contact them at all. So what can you do? Be vigilant. Do your research and your due diligence before investing. Ignorance is not bliss when it comes to financial decisions and investments. Ensure that anything that you are investing in, the promoter or company and the product is registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Always be mindful, if it is too good to be true, it usually is. And most of all, trust your gut. We usually get a gut instinct that this is not right. Trust your gut. Also, you can pay attention and keep abreast with new trends that we pick up, as well as the FIU or CBTT or the TTPS. We tend to put out notices and stuff to keep investors alert. Also, if you suspect a scheme, report it. Be politely paranoid. So these are the methods of reporting a complaint to us. You could do it via our website, as Karishma, my colleague, would have stated. You can go on our website. If you go on our website, you would go on the icon on our homepage that says Investor Protection, and you would look for the complaint form. You can fill it out. We would instantly get it and start an action. You can also use our Investor Protection app. You can email complaints. You can send in your complaints anonymously in the post, or you can walk in and make a complaint. Our location is seen on the slide, levels 22 to 23, Tower D, at the International Waterfront, and those are our telephone contacts. So I know this was long. I don't know if you all have any questions. Hi. Sure. With us? I can't say that I know of any. No. Any other questions? Okay, so Karishma and I have questions to ask, so I'll let her ask first and then I'll ask 2 questions. I hope you all will pay attention.
Afternoon again, everyone. Could anyone name 2 of the core mandates of the TTSEC? Oh. No one? Can anyone name the core mandates of TTSEC? 2 of them. Yes.
Can anyone tell me a red flag? Can anyone give me a red flag? Yes. Pay attention to WhatsApp or communication via WhatsApp or Telegram. Very good. And one type of investment scheme. Don't shout it. Somebody who did not win already. Natalie, you seen who hands went up first? In the green? Okay. Yeah, a prohibited scheme. You could give me one more? Yeah. Very good.
Thank you very much, Jamila and Karishma. And we are mindful of the time, so just please allow us we will try to wrap up very quickly. So thank you again to all our presenters for your very engaging and informative presentations today. Please, let's give all of them a round of applause. I now move to the closing remarks, and I would like to invite Ms. Amber Keynes, Councillor for Glencoe, Goodwood, and Laporto, to the lectern to give brief remarks on behalf of the Diego Martin Borough Corporation. Please, let's welcome her.
Deputy Mayor of the Diego Martin Borough Corporation, Alderman Valisha Sukdar, Councillor for Diamond Vale, Ms. Kida James, CEO of Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, Mr. Kester Guy, Deputy CEO of the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, Ms. Listra Lucilo, administrative staff of the Diego Martin Borough Corporation, staff of the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Very often, we hear the use of financial terms such as stocks, bonds, mutual funds, brokers, and many others. Yet many times, we remain unaware of the full meaning and the impact on our lives. Today's investor education community outreach roadshow has served as an agent of change. This initiative has displayed its potential to richly transform the financial well-being of you, our residents. Importantly, this initiative has raised awareness about the importance of saving and investing. Educate on investment basics, providing clear and simple explanation of concepts such as risks, diversification, long-term financial planning, and promote safe investment practices by helping individuals identify legitimate opportunities, avoid scams, and understand their rights as investors. Promoting financial literacy means strengthening our community's overall economic resilience. An economically resilient community is one where we can handle tough times without falling behind. It means families know how to save, invest, and plan for our future, so the whole community stays strong and continues to grow. On behalf of the Diego Martin Borough Corporation, I wish to extend heartfelt appreciation to our valued partners and coordinators, the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange Limited, the Mutual Funds Association of Trinidad and Tobago, the Securities Dealers Association of Trinidad and Tobago, the Bankers Association of Trinidad and Tobago, and the Securities and Exchange Commission. Also, thank you to the booth collaborators and the Diego Martin Central Community Center for housing this initiative. Your support and collaboration have made this initiative possible. It is my hope that the knowledge shared today does not end here, but instead sparks new conversations, inspires innovative ideas, and builds sustainable partnerships. As I conclude, I leave you with the words of Robert Kinoski. Financial freedom is available to those who learn about it and work for it. Let us continue to work together to make Diego Martin the very best place to live, work, and thrive. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Keynes. And as we formally close tonight's events, it is my pleasure to invite Ms. Filma Brown Hyacinth, President of the St. George West Branch of Village Councils, to give the vote of thanks. Please let's welcome.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. All protocol observed. As we bring today fourth and final Investors Education Roadshow for this fiscal year to a close, it is both my privilege and pleasure to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks on behalf of the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Today has been a truly meaningful experience, not only for the people and the community of Diego Martin, but for all of us here who believe in the power of education, information, and empowering lives. This event was more than booths or formal presentations, but about planting seeds of knowledge that we hope as a community will continue to grow and positively impact all who attended. We are immensely grateful to Alderman and Deputy Mayor Valisha Sugdar, councillors and the staff of the Diego Martin Borough Corporation for embracing this initiative and co-hosting this event with such enthusiasm and dedication. Your collaboration from the very first meeting in June to today's successful execution speaks volume about your commitment to community empowerment. To our partners in regulation and financial education, the Office of the Financial Service Ombudsman and Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, the Securities Dealers Association of Trinidad and Tobago, the Mutual Fund Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for being a pillar of trust and guidance in this national effort to improve financial literacy in our country. Your contributions today have truly helped demystify investing and have equipped attendees with the tools to make smarter and safer financial decisions. A special thank you to our presenters, Mr. Dominic Stafford from the OFSO, Ms. Eva Mitchell, Chief Executive Officer at the TTSE, Ms. Farina Ramkisoon from the MFAT, Mr. Mark Taylor from SDAT, and Ms. Jamelia Prescott Grant and Karishma Satram from the TTSEC Legal Division. Your presentation were clear, informative, impactful, and highly appreciated. You assist in bringing to life our core objective in raising awareness, encouraging financial planning, and promoting safe, informed investing. I also want you to join me in thanking those who were part of the entertainment and theoretical production. Your expert pieces help showcase the importance of saving and investing to our audience. To our sponsors, thank you for your generosity. SDAT and MFAT for sponsoring $500 investment vouchers. Extra Food Limited, Macy's Stores, and True Value for donating grocery voucher that will directly benefit families in these communities. To our incredible booth holders, including the Office of the Financial Ombudsman, the Ministry of Agriculture, and the Fisheries Division. YTEP Limited, NEDCO, Ministry of Culture and Community Development, the Diego Martin Borough Corporation, and the TTPS Youth Club. Your presence added depth and real value to today's outreach initiative. Thank you for being here and engaging with members of the Diego Martin community. To the Mayor's Office and the Public Relations team of the Borough Corporation, your support behind the scene ensured smooth planning and logistics, and to the management and team of the Diego Martin Central Community Center, thank you for granting us this venue and all the preparation it took to make us feel comfortable and welcome. And now to the real stars of today. You, the community members of the Diego Martin, the villagers, the youths, the retirees, the village council, and other NGOs who came out to participate, ask questions, and engage openly. Thank you. Your presence today showed the willingness to learn, to grow, and to take charge of financial future. On behalf of the TTSEC, we welcome you to our growing investors education community and look forward to supporting your continued journey. Remember to visit our website, www.ttsec.org.tt, and our social media platform to like and share and comment on the information we post daily. Today, we have not only shared knowledge, but we have also built relationships. And we reaffirm our commitment to continuing this partnership with the Diego Martin Borough Corporation as we all work together to promote financial empowerment and build a more informed, financially secure Trinidad and Tobago. I would also like to take this opportunity to express our sincere appreciation to the Board of Commissioners management team and our CEO, Mr. Kester Guy, for their unwavering support and approval of the Roadshow series initiative. Special thanks must also be extended to our corporate services team, the information management team, and the corporate communication and the education department for their dedication, planning, coordination, and successful execution of the 4 series of the Roadshow across Trinidad and Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of TTSEC, thank you again for being with us today, and let's continue to invest in knowledge for ourselves and families and our community. Thank you and good night.
I would like to welcome Mr. Castagai, our CEO, to just present a token of appreciation. Thank you, everyone, and this brings us to the end of our 4th Our 4th Investor Education Community Outreach Roadshow. Thank you once again to all those who partnered and collaborated with us, those who contributed to making this event a success, and to you, and I must admit here at the end that I am a proud resident of Diego Martin, and to you, the wonderful audience and members of the Diego Martin community. We wish you all a safe journey home. Notes, light refreshments will now be available and served downstairs. On behalf of all of us at the TTSEC, thank you and do have a good night. We will